Hi there, I'm Chef Celeste, and welcome to my Louisiana kitchen, where I'll take you all around Louisiana through food. On today's episode, I'm making crawfish etouffée that I know you're going to love, and we're making crawfish bread. So stay tuned and we're going to get started. The ingredients that we have, of course, we have our Louisiana crawfish, and we have onions, bell peppers, a little bit of celery going in there. We have flour, oil, some tomato paste, our seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, cayenne pepper. So my pan is already heating on low. The first thing I'm going to do with that is just get my ingredients chopped up. I need my bell peppers and onions and all that good stuff chopped up. We're going to do a rough chop on that. Just take your bell peppers and your onions, and I think I've shown you how to use the knife already, so you should know that. Just do a rough chop, sit it off to the side. You know, I like to sit things off to the side there. Take a half or a piece of my onion. I don't want to do half of it yet. Let me get this off the board. Just make sure you clean the skins off when they get on there. Just dump that in my trash can. Take the outer skin off. That part's a little tough, so you just want to take that off of there. Sit that down. You can use that for your stock if you want. Now, rough chop on this one too. Keep everything about the same because that way it cooks at the same rate. I'm going to dump that in my pan. You hear that? It's on low, but not high yet. So, I don't have any oil in here yet. I'm just going to let that go. I'm going to add my celery in there too. That makes your house smell good too. Alright, celery. I'm going to cut the equivalent of one stalk. That's the equivalent of one. Put the rest back. That is not trash. Alright, let that go in. Garlic. Here is where it gets to be aromatic, and you know it's going to be delicious. We're going to put 4 cloves in here. Now let me show you what we do on the garlic. If you're not using a gadget, garlic clove, the end of the knife, give it a whack. Take out your aggression if you need to. Take it out on the garlic. It's okay. So you take the skin off. I have a trash can here. It's not going on the floor. Pull my trash can out. There you go. Whack that off. Give me one more. So you want to take the end off because this part, it's hard, it does not cook down. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of salt and sprinkle on here. That's going to help me to have some traction when I'm chopping the garlic, because I don't want it sliding all around. You don't want it sliding around. You can use one of those things that you just, hit whatever. But learn the basics first, because like I always say, what if your gadgets don't work? What are you going to do? You're going to get the knife out and you're going to start to chop, 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 chop. That's what you do, chop. All right. And this is going to be kind of a medium chop, nothing fancy. Okay, so we have this chopped. That smells so good. You'll see what I'm talking about when you start to chop your garlic, but I'm not putting that in yet. So now I'm going to go in with a little bit of oil. That way I can start to sear my vegetables here. So while this is going, let me tell you a little bit about me. If you didn't know, I went to school actually in Hawaii. And I was not going to be a chef, because remember, chef was not in the cards for me. I like to cook, I like to do parties for people, but I was not going to be a chef. Tell you, that's how the mind of a young person works sometimes. That's how my mind worked. I was going to be a speech therapist. And I took a leisure baking class. And after I took that leisure baking class, I changed my major, and the rest is history. So I got my first cooking job in Hawaii. I was actually the first female that they hired at the alcohol treatment center. So that put me on a path of still helping people, but through food. So that's what I love to do. I love to work. I'm actually work in a retirement center. I work with seniors, like Meals on Wheels. videos and things like that, counsel on aging, preparing food, writing menus, things like that. So that's what I love to do. So that's why you'll see me more on the healthier side, with not adding a lot of butter and things like that into my dishes. Now just crank my heat up on medium high on here. So with that going, now we're going to go in with a little bit of flour. This is not a complicated recipe. I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of flour. This is not a complicated recipe at all. It's just more of just paying attention to what you're doing and getting it going. So in here, as a recap, we just have our onions, we have our bell pepper, we have our celery, oil, and flour. No seasoning in here yet. No crawfish. The crawfish is actually going to go in last because it's very delicate and we don't want it to get too soft and cook down. But now in Louisiana, and especially in New Orleans, we have crawfish boils, we have all types of festivals going on and everything. So when you come down or just look it up online, you'll be able to see all the fun things that goes on in and around Louisiana. So that's the one thing that drew me in, that kept me in Louisiana cooking this great food. So we're going to go back to medium low and just stir. We don't want too much color in here, but you see that it's starting to bubble up a little bit. Now I'm going to add in my tomato paste. I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste in there. All right, let that go. Now, you notice I did not use the flour spoon to go into the tomato paste because I'm not going to use it all right now. So you don't want to mix your ingredients up like that if you're not going to use it all at one time. That way you can still use it for something else. But you see how the color is changing in here now? I don't want the dark brown the way that we had for the dark roux. That's not what we're looking for right now. Okay. Garlic going in. Put the garlic. So after Hawaii, I moved to Virginia. And I was in Virginia for a while, still doing my cooking at a retirement community. And that's when I met someone from Louisiana. And she was a Creole lady. And then when I was walking out one day, she had all these beads hanging on her car. And I'm wondering, I was like, you're really religious, right? Because I didn't really know a lot about Louisiana. And she's like, no, those are Mardi Gras beads. And that's when I started to read up on Mardi Gras and all the fun things that happen with like the Mardi Gras Indians and the different areas, Mamu, where they actually mount horses and chase chickens, and then whoever gets the chicken, that's how you, that all goes into a big pot of gumbo at the end of the celebration. So there's a whole tradition in different towns around Louisiana that goes around not only Mardi Gras, but festivals, strawberry festivals, things like that. So you really have to check it out. And the cuisine helps. So now I'm going to add in my chicken broth. We're going to add in about 2 cups to start with. I want to deglaze the bottom of the pan. You see how that's looking nice and pretty? And just get down to the bottom of the pan, let it come up, just gently stir, and this is what we're looking for. So while this is going, you see how that's starting to thicken up a little bit? I don't want it to get too thick, so I'm going to add the rest of my stock in a minute, and we're just going to let this cook for a little bit. And while we let this cook, I'm going to show you how to make some crawfish bread. All right, we're about to talk about the crawfish bread. I know you've been waiting on that. So, get your bread. We're using the hoagie bread. You can use the regular po' boy bread. Say it with me, po' boy. Then we're going to get that. We're going to slice it 2 ways. I want to show you 2 different ways. Just go down at a diagonal. Do not cut all the way through. You see how it's still hinged on the back. So, some thick slices. This is about 1 inch apart. So, let me go on down here. I'm going to pay attention to what I'm doing while I'm using the knife. Okay, so you see that? The next way we're going to go is just down through the middle. We're still going to leave it hinged, okay? So sit this off. I'm going to sit this over in my skillet. This is actually going in the oven. So I'm going to sit this over here for now because I want that out of the way. So now I'm going to make my mixture. I'm going to take some mayonnaise and put in there. That is about 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. Then we have going in a little bit of my steak seasoning. Now this is called senior seasonings because most of my career has been working with senior citizens, and you know, we need a lower salt content. So I came up with some seasoning blends that will help with that. So you can find those online, and we do ship. But we did that. I have my honey mustard out, all centered around seniors. You don't have to be a senior to use it. It's full of deliciousness, so you can use it also. So we have that going in. A little bit of, let me reach over and get some of my parsley. Some cracked black pepper. That's going in also. This mayonnaise dip will be good for a lot of spreads. We actually make a house sauce at the restaurant with this in there. So now I'm going in again with my garlic. Let me cut the end of that off. Remember, that end is hard. You don't want to use that. So let's just do some slices on that. These are going to be sliced very thin. You will get a chance to use your knife like this too. I'm still slicing. Yes, the cameraman is looking at me right now. I'm still slicing. I know where my garlic is, okay? Just know where your food is at all times. Knife safety is key. So we're gonna put that in. Just dump right on in there. All of it. So you may be wondering, when does the crawfish come in here? It's coming, it's coming. It's actually, I want some sun-dried tomatoes in there too. You may ask why, because I want to taste that in here. So this is the point where you can add your other ingredients in there if you want to. You want hot peppers in there, put some hot peppers in there. I'm going to add some cayenne pepper in there. 1. And you know, if you're not a beginner, you can add a couple more in there. Now let me use the tongs. I'm going to get a nice heaping tong full of crawfish. 1, I want 2. 2. All right, so stir this in. That looks good. And you can take the crawfish tails, like when we have a crawfish boil, if there's crawfish left over, that's when you peel, you freeze, and you make your dishes like this here. So you don't just a lot of times start off this way. You build into having your crawfish tails. Let's add this on in here. We're gonna fill this baby up, nice and simple. Okay, look at that. Now we're just gonna add some cheese on top. Whatever type of cheese you like, that's what you use. I'm not gonna tell you what type of cheese to use. It's gonna melt. We're putting this in the oven. I want you to learn how to embellish on your recipes. If someone gives you a recipe, turn it into your own, okay? Now, this is the one for the one we did the slits in. Put some cheese in each of these. Just open it up. Put your cheese in there. Dip, 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 dip. And watch. Let me pull this over closer. Nice cheesy crawfish bread. That's a big piece of cheese. I tore that off. You don't want to be too cheesy. Well, unless you're telling a joke, okay? Okay, put that on there. Now we go in and let's add some crawfish in there. Get it down in there. Open it up. Put it in. Maybe a little messy at first, but it's going to be a good kind of messy, okay? Some of you are probably wondering, well, Chef, I thought you didn't want your hands dirty. I don't, but sometimes it's a dirty job. So let's get this in here. Okay, now crawfish is popular all around Louisiana. So make sure you come, when you come, check out some of the restaurants, get you some crawfish etouffée, get you a crawfish beignet, get you some anything with crawfish in here. This is from Louisiana, the Louisiana Seafood Promotion Board. They are awesome with getting the word out about our great seafood. And look at that. Doesn't that look amazing? Hadn't even gone in the oven yet. Sprinkle it with a little bit of parsley. Sprinkle that one with some parsley. I'm going to sprinkle it with a little more of my seasonings. I'm going to put the cracked black pepper on there. This has a shaker on there, but I take that off because I'm a chef. I like to pinch. So we're going to pinch on here. We're going to pinch on there. This is going in the oven. Some of you may wonder, well, that's a really big pan. I'm not putting it in the oven. Somebody else is going to put it in the oven, and we're going to come back and finish out the crawfish etouffee. We'll be right back. So, I pulled the crawfish bread out. It just needed to let the cheese melt in there. You see all that deliciousness? Now let's add our crawfish into the base. It's cooked down, it's thickened up enough. This is just going to take enough time to heat the crawfish, and then we're going to be set. Let me set this over here. Let me show you what we're doing here. Look at that. Nice crawfish goodness going on here. Look at that. I'm going to add a little bit of parsley in here because I want a little green. Looks delicious. We are about to plate. So let me show you what we're going to do. The rice is already cooked. If you don't know how to cook rice, I'll teach you one day. This is just plain old boiled rice. Add some salt to that water too. So now let's go on top of here. You see that nice big chunk of onion? If some drips on the plate, which is going to do, we're going to clean that off, okay? But look at that. Get all that goodness in there. Get it around. You don't have to cover all the rice up, but just get enough of that crawfish in there. This good Louisiana goodness. This is like liquid gold here. Look at that. We're going to dress this plate up for Mardi Gras. Okay, now, look at that. And I already told you, if you get something on the plate, just wipe it off. That's what we're going to do. We're going to wipe it off. So let me wipe. Because you're going to want to take pictures of your food too. So get that off the bowl. Go around in a circle. I have some peppercorns here. So we're going to sprinkle with a little bit of that. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? We're going to come back in with a little bit of green. I like to do my plates and my board. So yes, I have my spice board. Look at that. Going in. Some in the middle. And what I'm going to do for you to round it all out, let me turn this off. Let me grab a little bit of bell pepper. Put that right on top. And let me get some of the star of the show right out of here. Now, you can catch me on Instagram at Chef Celeste Gill, Facebook, Chef Celeste. So just look me up, send me a message, let me know what you cook, send me pictures of your food. So I love to see that. So here is our crawfish etouffee. Again, I am Chef Celeste, and you are watching My Louisiana Kitchen, and I look forward to seeing you next time.